Okay, I tried to record some with Storm in Modern, and that deck was just a giant disaster. I was playing with the Finkel version, and it just kept coming up that the cards that I had in the deck that were the Finkel version were just not as good as the Faithful Suitings I would have anyways. But the deck was also just like really awkward because my opponents were going Abrupt Decay Thoughtseize. So instead of that, we're just going to draft one of my favorite draft formats, Shadowmoor, Eventide. Um, in retrospect, this probably wasn't as good as like Zen. It's not one of like my top three, but it's definitely one of my top five or so. Um, so basically, here's how the format works. There's a bunch of cards that you can cast for one color or another, a bunch of hybrid cards. Turns out that the best thing to do with hybrid cards is just draft all the hybrid cards in a single color and play a monocolor deck. And that took a while for people to figure out. But that's how that worked. So our options here is we have a good removal spell, Burn Trail. So the Conspire abilities, I get to tap two creatures I control, two red creatures I control to copy it. We've got a good aggressive 3-drop in Ashton Gouger. And then we have Silkbind Fairy, which is one of the most obnoxious cards in the format because it's a tapper that attacks. Seed Cradle Witch is also very good, but I don't want to take a two-color spell, pick one, pack one. If I wanted to force mono red, which I probably could, I would take the Gouger, I think. That sounds like way more fun. Who am I kidding? I should take the Fairy. Fairy's definitely a better card. Well then, so this card is pretty unbeatable. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a comparison. It's really hard to find one. The next best card in the pack is probably Puncture Bolt or Howl of the Night Pack. There's a cycle of these Corrupt style cards. I think Corrupt was one of them. But there's a card, Elsewhere Flask. It was saw play in Eggs as just a cantrip, but it let you basically set up any of these expensive count the number of each of that land type you control spells in any deck as a splash, and Howl would make like 7 2/2s regularly. So good rate, but expensive. Miss Meadow Witch though, unbeatable. You just keep blinking things out. And on the subject of annoying cards, Silkbind Fairy and Miss Meadow Witch, good friends. So our options here, we can take the Seed Cradle Witch, which is probably the most powerful card here. We can take the 2-drop, which is the safest card here, or we can take the Presence of Gone, which is the highest potential card. With the untap guys in the format, so there's one of the set abilities is untap instead of tap as a cost. You just set up an ability where you have like Presence of Gone on a guy, you tap to make a 1/1, you untap it, you tap it. You can see the loop forming. I don't know which of these three is right. Could just be the Witch. Probably just the Witch, actually. I think Witch is a little more powerful than Presence. Oh, there's another Fairy. That was easy. The next best card's probably, if this wasn't here, I'd probably take this guy because it's the white creature. And it looks like I'm going to be white, though I could be blue. And the Hungry Spriggan is also a pretty powerful card. I could be like green-blue and get rewarded in pack 3. There is a decent amount of mono-red stuff floating around in the Intimidator Initiate and the Cohort, but it's a little late to move in on that. Jeez, there's another one of those? I should have forced mono-red. I'm going to take... yeah, Somnomancer. So Intimidator Initiate's a really unassuming card that ended up being absolutely absurd. It's whenever you cast a red spell, you can pay 1 to make a guy not block this turn, and it's really good at forcing through damage. So I'm going to take Inquisitor Snare. It's a combat trick that's kind of like potentially a better removal spell. So, man, there's a lot of red flowing. Should have gone the fun way, but whatever. I have 2 fairies. If I get a Presence of Gone or a Power of Fire, I can move back in. Medicine Runner is fine. Niveus Wisp is also pretty good. I don't have anything with Persist yet. I think I'd rather just take the Wisps and solidify like an actual white signal and take all the actual white cards a little bit. So we have reason to splash blue, reason to splash green, and we'll probably end up with like a 12 or like 11/3/3 mana base or 12/2/3 or something like that. I do like how we have four blue-white cards. So if we get any Steel of the Godheads next pack, which is probably the most powerful. So there was a cycle of enchantments in this format. Steel of the Godheads is probably the one that people who have not been playing since this format remember the most. This is just a removal spell. Beginning of your upkeep, tap enchant a creature. Or beginning of each upkeep. So just taps it every turn. So I'm just taking that, obviously. But the cycle is, it's like if it enchants a creature of one color, they get a specific bonus. If it enchants a creature of another color, they get a different bonus. And Godhead is blue. If it's blue, it's unblockable and +1/+1. If it's white, it's lifelink and +1/+1, which is almost impossible to beat. That's the one that's seen playing Modern with Zur and Geist of Saint Draft. The other really good ones were the green-white one was indestructible for green, 1/1, and flying for white. All of them give +1/+1 for the color. Um, let's see. Green. I don't remember the entire cycle off the top of my head, do I? I actually could go through, but those were the two most powerful ones. And that's one of the reasons white was good. I just took the Metamorphose because I didn't want any of those cards. And if I'm going to take an unplayable, I may as well take the one that's worth half a ticket, right? Ooh. I like that this is here. Hex Hunter is also reasonable. Um, Having 1/1s for one kind of helps against the red deck, but I do like the upside of this because there were some Elsewhere flasks that could come around, and I'm already going to splash green. And having a bunch of Hex Hunters is like there's a bunch of 1/1s for one. Um, it's like I said, so being able to start blocking their Intimidator Initiate early is a good way to stop red. Uh, like you could die up the curve, but it's a lot harder if they don't just deal the first like 4 points of damage. And specifically the really unassuming one. Ew, I don't want any of these cards. Um, the really unassuming card is the Flash 1/1 for one because it can flash in and block their Intimidator Initiate when they think it's a safe attack. Scar is the best card in the pack, but I'm willing to pass it and just solidify people into colors. Yeah, this card does actual nothing. This card does nothing. That card is a combo. Hopefully I see... I think there was another Elsewhere Flask in the next pack. I think with two, I'd be willing to splash the Howl in the Night pack. So one of the things is the white deck tends to go really late. There's an uncommon in Shadowmoor. It's a 5-mana 2/2 with Get Out of this pack. That's a big creature. 5-mana 2/2 white creatures you control have tap, gain a life. So the games can go real long with that card. So I think that with basically two sources for my Howl, I could reasonably get there. Sure. I'll take a spell, I guess. Leech Rodent Swamp's not really a card. So, because this is a throwback draft, I have no shame, and I'll take the money rare that's basically pays for the draft or whatever. If it wasn't there, I could take the Incremental Blight as a thing to splash off an Elsewhere Flask I could pick up later. Incremental Blight is pretty unbeatable. If you wanted to make the safe pick, it's probably the Safehold Elite. Um, Aether Toe is okay. It suffers a lot from the standard neck snap problem, especially because it doesn't actually kill the creature. And so it has Conspire, so you can tap two of your guys to copy it. But that's that's even easier to play around if you know about it. But we'll just pretend that doesn't exist. Actually, the Omen is that's not like even a joke. Like I actually kind of want to just take these Omens and move in with the Howl of the Night pack and Elsewhere Flasks. I don't like this. Might sound like me trying to justify it, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna work. Well then, yeah. So this is a stupid rare. These omens are actually quite good in my deck. That was a happy accident, I guess. Last Breath is not nearly as good in this format because creatures do get kind of big. I'll take this guy. So, yeah, we've got omens, Elsewhere Flask, a Howl. So hopefully I can pick up like a late Corrupt or something. The omens also fix for my Seed Cradle Witch and my Mist Meadow Witch. uh, so I'm looking for a Resplendent Mentor and another Howl, I guess. I'm probably not going to see a Corrupt that late. I could see getting a... You're not going to get a Jaws of Stone that late. That was the red one, which is damage equal number of mountains you control divided as you choose, which is unbeatable. The... Just going through the list. The blue one is draw cards. I could see picking up one of those real late, and that'd be pretty good in this deck. And the white one is Armored Ascension, which is a 4-mana enchantment, and it's plus +1 in flying for each planes you control. So that's a little too good to see this late. Though we did see a third pick Twilight Shepherd, which is quite unreal. So anything could happen at this point. This is pretty sweet. If there's ever a time to try this out, it's right now during the draft that doesn't matter. This guy's not actually unreasonable. The ability to just randomly prevent a bunch of damage out of nowhere is pretty huge. It does look like we're getting cut on white this pack, but I think we'll get rewarded for staying in it here. I don't like any of these cards. I don't actually like any of these cards in anything. I think I'm just going to take the Druid. Because if I'm splashing green, there's a chance it ends up in my deck. So we have 3 more cards to see. We're not going to see a Mentor. That's a real late Safehold Elite for the record. We have 1 more pack to see a Resplendent Mentor. 1 time. Card is so good. Especially with, there's a guy that untaps to make a soldier token. Untap is actually really similar to Inspired if you think about it. Because you need the creature to attack. It takes like a little less time. But you end up with things like this 1/1 that untaps to make a 1/1. It's kind of similar to Godfavor General in that you will like attack with it and it just dies in combat and you made a 1/1 and it didn't really do anything. Like Godfavor General is really awkward because it's like, how do I get a 1/1 through? It just happened that this format, it was a much more central mechanic, so there are a lot more enablers as opposed to Inspired in the current format where it's kind of like, yeah, there's a couple ways to do it, but not quite enough, and not enough of them are great. Like cards, there was a card, it's 1 in a red, enchanted creature. Oh boy. 1 in a red, enchanted creature gets tapped to deal a damage to something. The card was just like absolutely off the charts insane. Because if you put it on an untapper, you just shoot down their whole team. And that was fun for everybody, right? This deck is awesome. I'm actually really glad I took this Prismatic Omen first pick instead of... Yeah, anything. Just, yeah, that was absolutely correct in retrospect. Turning a greedy rare draft into the nuts. This Devoted Druid probably does make the cut too, because I do have things that I want to cast with it. Especially these Howls for like... So the thing about Howl is like, having the 7th landing play when you cast it doesn't really matter compared to the 6. Like 6 2/2 is probably going to kill them about the same as 7. So... I think I want the medic here. I don't even know what this card does. Yeah, this card does nothing. Okay. Yeah, this card's actually playable. So this was I don't know if I want this card in my deck or not. Or if I want Woe Leecher. Yeah, Woe Leecher's pretty mediocre. Oh no, I have 2 Brent medics, so I want the Leecher. Yeah, I'll take the 3/3. That seems right. Better than the Snare. Sure, Scrap Basket. Kind of wanted to take the Foil Heap Doll, and then, uh, I don't know. I don't know what I'd do with it. I just have a Foil Heap Doll. I'll take the Beseech, though. I could see casting that to find a part of my combo. Disturbing Plot is in theory playable. Foil Forest. This will randomly end up in decks and then randomly get traded away and then make it terrible when I try to load something someday. Yeah, so Donglo Invocation was... Ooh. I feel like I do want more. This is potentially 2 mana for... Yeah, this guy's sweet. Okay. But Donglo Invocation, the X mana, if you paid white, gain X life. If you paid green, gain X life, was the winningest card in the format because no one ever main decked it because it was so obviously bad. Except for when they should have main decked it, and the people who were like knowing they should main deck it were playing like very specific decks, like kind of like this one, which is why it was close. They were winning because it was a very calculated choice. It was like a really weird kind of thing. I think I want Bloom Tender. Actually, I had to invoke Donglo Infusion. Is that it? Had that in the board of a Tron deck in Modern, like the green Tron decks that you could Chromatic Star into it, because that was like the only way you could ever beat Burn. Yeah, this is definitely a Bloom Tender deck. Got a lot of 6 and 7s. Recumbent Bliss. I'll take the removal spell. I kind of want to take the Quill Spike. Go infinite with Devoted Druid, and I have 2 medics for it too. Ooh, it's getting close. I'm just gonna take the Recumbent Bliss and take the most raw powerful card. Ooh, shoot. This card is pretty unbeatable, but I have 2 7-drops already, and the Trapper is also pretty unbeatable. It's a tapper that untaps whenever I play a white spell, so it basically taps a thing on my turn and then as a free tapper on their turn. And this guy's going to showcase how good a Crow and Mastiff is going to be in this upcoming format. Similar card. I'm kind of regretting the Seed Cradle Witch over Presence of Gone pick, but I feel like I missed a Power of Fire somewhere, just like completely bricked on recognizing it was there. It might have been in the Twilight Shepherd pack, which is fine. Kind of want a Sen's Enlistment. I'm trying to remember this mechanic. Retrace cards are a way of fixing your late game draws. Fire at Will's okay, but not insane. Again, it's a neck snap. Divine Verdict kind of effect, which is... Yeah. They've always had their issues. I don't have enough black-white permanents, and I have enough 2-drops already, so... You could Springjack Shepherd. You may recognize this card as Retraction Helix. Spellduster's fine. I've got one way to remove counters from permanents. Spring Fact Separate. This guy does nothing. Yeah, I'll pass the Mimic for the 5-drop here. Ooh. We have options. This guy makes a 1/1 Kithkin. I'm going to take this guy over the Patrol Signaler. We don't have any way to tap the Signaler as part of the issue. But the real thing is that we get to go Prismatic Omen with the Gwillian Hedge Mage or whatever. So we get to get both sides out of it, despite not being anywhere near actually being able to both sides it. I'm okay with taking another Sentence Enlistment here. It's probably not going to get main decked, but... Oh, darn it. It's between Arius and Savage Conception. I'm pretty sure I don't want the Savage Conception. I'd rather just splash the Arius. I already have a Retrace card. I'll take the Edge Divinity, I guess. Theory could want to pump my creatures, as opposed to this Beckon Apparition nonsense. There's something in the pack I wanted to wheel that I knew wouldn't wheel. The next pack had the Quill Spike. Good. There's still hope. Still a small hope. Oh man, Quill Spike would be so good in this deck too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things to go with it. 6. No way it wheels though. So our mana's probably like 10, 6, 1. Yeah, there was no way that guy was wheeling. Yeah, I'm gonna just take the green-white hate card. As opposed to grazing Kelpie or whatever nonsense that is. Gift of the Deity or Gift of the Deus. No, it's Gift of the Deity because it's Deity of Scars. Yeah, that's the black-green one. The 7/7. Yeah. So that's the black-green enchantment, and it gives... I don't think it's Death Touch. I think they were still on whenever this deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature, which is not Death Touch. Because it doesn't let you assign 1/1 and 1/2 lethal blockers after ordering them. And its lure is the other half. So we have 28. That card's fine. 1/3 to board in against those decks. I'd rather have it than this card that's not really going to trigger ever. It's 10/6/1, right? I think I need at least 6 for the cards I want. Because I really like Arius. That card's very powerful. I want both Omens, the Bloom Tender, and the Druid. I'll take a 2/1. This card's pretty good too, for what it's worth. That's a really bad safe passage. By really bad, I just mean expensive. Oh, Banish and Act was a lot worse in this format. Huh. It's not good in my deck. Too many of the guys I actually want to persist already have a way to get counters on them. Bloom Tender's actually just insane. I don't know what I was thinking, like maybe not picking that card. Those are obvious. I don't want those. Those cards are all good. That's good. This card could get cut. That card's not making it. That's good. That's good. That's good. Not making it. 22? I don't have the flask in there yet. Definitely need the flask. I like this. This is pretty sweet. The question is, do I want Woe Leecher to go with my Medic, Airy Oofs? I'm not seeing that main deck. I've got like reasonable dudes down the line. Kind of do need like one more thing that can attack, maybe. Maybe my deck is literally just Live to Howl the Night Pack every game. I don't want the second Medic though. I don't think I need the Spell Duster. I have 2 hard removal spells and a tapper to deal with God Auras. Oh, oh gosh, I have a lot of tappers. Yeah, I don't think I need the Woe Leecher. Though I do kind of want more things to pump my Bloom Tenders towards. Or my Bloom Tender and Devoted Druid towards. So this might actually be good. Maybe I don't want the Enlistment. I probably do. I have a lot of mana, which means that filtering my lands is better, I think. I need to have less dead draws too, because I have 2 blanks in my deck to start with. Yeah, we'll just go with this. What? Oh yeah, I forgot that the suggest mana function just does not work for Shadowmoor block. Oh, I see you've got some hybrid cards in your deck. Let's just add everything. This looks good. 6. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards that make us want green mana. There, 2 of them are early, so we want that. We only have 1 card that's really like give us a bunch of early white mana, and 10's enough to get the Shepherd on 6, so that's fine. We want 1 blue for the Mist Meadow Witch. I'm excited for this one.